So I'm wondering if with the 25% that you say you treat more traditionally, do you use the same principles but simply eliminate the sacred terminology?
That's exactly what we do. There are many people who, for some, spirituality is contemplating the sunset or an ocean. And so I don't get caught up in terminology, which would be linguistic programming. I basically honor a person where they are. As I said, we're all in different places. And so we eliminate that, but they still benefit and go through the steps beautifully, understanding that it's an inner knowing that we're tapping into, regardless of the terminology. I feel Spirit's omnipresent within and without, and so someone else not wanting to use that terminology as offensive to them does not offend me at all. I see it all as one.
Your book outlines specific alternative and holistic steps to mental and emotional well-being. Would you please describe those steps?
Oh, absolutely. The journey from psychotherapy to sacretherapy is a beautiful, sacred 8-step process. And we begin with, I'm not going to get into the names of each chapter, but I will describe the journey. We begin with a psychoeducational portion, which gives a psychological and metaphysical, psychospiritual foundation, getting to the energy basis of the manifestation, which is mental or emotional. Then we move to redefining diagnoses and implement aligning processes and exercises that helps one begin to realign. Then we move into an understanding of how we manifested this manifestation in the first place, and order to prevent recreating it and returning to old patterns. Then to transmuting the anger and rage that often comes up, which I call sacred rage, because many times when people start realizing that, what, you mean I'm sacred and I'm not sick, that can bring up a lot of mourning for the authentic self, because it was minimized and lost or squelched by social taboos before, and stigma, and a lack of respect for just basic human dignities. And so this step is bittersweet because of the fact that they were glad to know that, oh, phew, all is well. But on the same token, it feels as if something has been lost. And so then we go from that step to preparing how to fully release that toxic energy, because it is important to get to a place of the here and now, that's life that's been lived, it's over. And so we step into our power of the here and now by learning how to accept one's wellness. Many people get conditioned into thinking of themselves as sick, and so that becomes their persona. So they have to take on a health modality that helps them to see themselves as healthy. Then we move into realignment with the fullness of one's being, and that's when it starts getting really exciting, because then they start to live the life they came forth to live, and then finally it's about maintaining one's realignment with the fullness of their being through aftercare, where one is invited to join an aftercare community of soul-filled living. It's a lifestyle at that point. So those are, it's a 300-page book, so naturally I'm squelching it all down into this summary, but that's basically the flow of the journey.
I was happy to see that in your book you say that the Sacretherapy process honors herbal remedies as well as psychotropic medications. Would you expound on that?
Absolutely. I think that the natural path honors the circle of life, which is why it's often preferred by many, because of that reverence and perceived compatibility with the body temple. And so, yet herbal remedies, unfortunately, have not earned their due respect in the mental health field. And this is primarily because mental health professionals are not trained in alternative healing modalities, period, much less herbal remedies. And so due to my coursework in herbal remedies, I elected to include a list in my book of the herbal remedies that are conducive to mental and emotional well-being. And so like St. John's wort, for instance, it's the leading choice of intervention in Germany for mild to moderate depression, period. And so there are many that I list in there. Now, naturally, as a psychotherapist and a metaphysician, I'm only describing these substances. I'm not prescribing them, because I believe that you should seek a natural path to doctor or practitioner for safe usage, because there can be side effects when you interact natural herbal remedies with traditional medicines. And you can also have a side effect with just herbal remedies, and many people just assume because they're natural that there's no risk. And so I think it's best to have them to be evaluated. But my advocacy for herbal remedies does not discount traditional medication at all. Psychotropics have been very powerful in assisting people to come back into alignment as well. And so all healing has a place in holism, which is what the Sacretherapy process respects and honors. I just feel that people should have a choice between which way they want to go, without it being minimized as it is usually with herbal remedies not getting the respect that they deserve.
Right.
Yeah.
You also recommend energy medicine such as Reiki and pranic healing. Can you tell us what the value is of Reiki or pranic healing for mental and emotional health?
Certainly. In addition to being a psychotherapist and a metaphysician, I am a certified Reiki practitioner myself, and therefore have firsthand knowledge and appreciation for the non-physical energetic layers of our beingness. Most mental and emotional reactions have to do with resistance. And so any viable healing modality that penetrates resistance and can inspire one's conscious awareness of the wholeness of their being, I believe is helpful. And so the subtle energy layer of being is non-physical. And so Sacretherapy invites one to take time to scan the auric layers of the body temple to assist in clearing energy blockages and to let go of resistance, thereby dispersing the distressing manifestations and releasing toxic energy. Plus, the energetic exchange being borrowed between the Reiki or prana practitioner can be a co-creative pathway of energetic and cellular renewal, which increases with the swiftness of realignment with well-being. This is optional, of course, but very beneficial and therefore recommended. So that's why I suggest energy medicine as a part of Sacretherapy.
Okay. Love it. In addition to the 8 steps, you offer a chapter on treating suicidal ideation, attempts, and even suicidal manipulation from a holistic perspective. I found this to be very informative and straightforward, yet tender and empowering. Will you tell us more about the intent of that chapter?
Sure. The chapter on suicidal behavior is an extra bonus chapter, and it's not a part of the 8 steps. But the reason I included it was because over my career I found that there are 4 different types of suicidal behaviors, all of which are depressed and attempting to get their needs met and to feel better. So I've come to appreciate this particular behavior as someone's attempt to realign with well-being. And the fact that many believe that relief can be found by returning to the non-physical realm means to me that they realize that relief can in fact be had. So I invite them to discover the relief that they seek here in the physical realm through this holistic approach to well-being via Sacretherapy. And I also address those who are consciously or unconsciously using suicidal behaviors as a form of manipulation to get their needs met, which is probably what comes into our practice more often than the other. And so through Sacretherapy, I enlist them to use healthier alternative ways that I outline to realign with emotional well-being and self-sufficiency. This chapter also, however, is written to support and empower family members who have loved ones who transitioned through completed suicide. My hope is to assist them in releasing any undue guilt and to realign with their own well-being that many of them feel that they've gotten yanked from as a result of their loved one transition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's a very important chapter, and I hope many people benefit from that.
Dr. Kemp, it seems like this book can really help a lot of people and is certainly needed. In closing, for anyone just tuning in, would you kindly sum up the main differences between traditional psychotherapy and sacretherapy?
Certainly. The traditional psychotherapy path generally leaves spirituality out, unless bereavement is the issue. But even then, many times it only focuses on the stages of grief and doesn't get into all aspects of the spiritual beingness. And so Sacretherapy is much more comprehensive in that it includes psychotherapy, but it also has a sacred process of aligning one's mind, body, and spirit in order to allow and clarify the soul's sacred intention that I believe is divinely unfolding and expanding in this physical experience.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so when will the book be released and how can we get a copy?
The paperback version will be released just in time for New Year's Day, January 1, and may be pre-ordered at Amazon.com beginning November the 12th. The launch day of New Year's Day was selected to coincide with New Year's resolutions, when people are generally inspired and motivated to make a fresh start and begin again, even though we can always begin at any moment all year long. And so gift certificates are available to be purchased for Christmas gifts for oneself or for your loved ones for the upcoming holiday season, since the holidays tend to trigger a great deal of despair for so many. In fact, suicide rates are higher during the holiday season than any other time of the year. So the book would be a great gift for helping anyone come back into alignment and begin to live the life they were meant to live. And so just to summarize, the book is available January the 1st, but can be pre-purchased now. It is available in both paperback and ebook versions. That would be Kindle, Nook, or iPad, and may be purchased directly from Amazon.com or BarnesandNobles.com. It can be previewed in the Look Inside version on both of those sites. I will also be doing a 10-city book signing and lecture tour, which is also posted on my website at drameliakemp.com.